Hello and welcome to Salt All the Things. Today we're going to see if salting the wounds actually helps healers manage their mana better. Just kidding. We're going to talk about World of Warcraft. Duh. I'm Rocket. That's Trog.
Hi, everybody.
And today we are joined by our good friend Wyland. Say hello, Wyland.
Hey, how's it going?
Wyland is our guild healer. We are going to dive into some aspects of like what it's like to be a healer in WoW. But first, Trog, what have you been up to?
Oh, me? I've been really enjoying the Void Rituals and the Abyss Anglers. The Abyss Anglers, especially, I was grinding on that earlier today, and that's just like, I think that's the funnest mini game that they've added for quite some time. I really enjoy it.
Agree. I didn't think I would like it, but I'm really having a good time. It's just something that, like, it's not tied to anything else, so you can do it at your own pace, which is something I really like for a change.
Yeah, and I got took the big guy down this morning to Rocket's chagrin.
We'll dive into the whole story behind that. You didn't do it by yourself, sir.
I feel like I did.
Well, you know, feelings are all that matter.
That's true.
We actually do have a housing update. I didn't get a chance to post it on YouTube yet, but I did do a short video with Ray kind of explaining that she's been sick and not feeling too well. So we're going to be recording hopefully some new content over the next few days, maybe into next week. But she had some really cool ideas for updates to her plot, so stay tuned for that, everybody.
You know, I don't often talk about your housing stuff, but I did think that cave underneath your Alliance house, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So we've updated our plot, and I have like a whole plan for it. It's going to be really cool, I think.
Nice. Well, I look forward to hearing more about it.
But I guess without further ado, let's all say hello to our happy healer, Wyland. He doesn't sound
How's it
very
going?
happy.
Sounds about as happy as he does every raid night. Come
Well,
on.
you know, how
Yeah.
happy could he be having to heal me, right?
That's true.
It is a challenge. I will say that.
Well, Wyland, do you want to talk about what got you into the game?
So I can talk about that. I've played World of Warcraft since it first came out. I got a message from a friend that we were playing EverQuest, Shadowbane, Ultima Online. We were playing a lot of different other games, and he started talking to me about it, and he was telling me how, you know, this game has dungeons where it's just you and the group in the dungeon. So I was like, really? You know, there's not a lot of other people in the dungeon with you? He's like, no, it's just like your own personal dungeon. So that was a big draw for me, because if anybody's played EverQuest, everybody's in the dungeon at the same time. One person messes up, it like wipes everybody in the dungeon.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. That was not a fun, rewarding experience.
Right. And so then I started looking at the classes, and you know, everything looked, you know, pretty cool. So we started up. It was me and him, and then three other people that we knew at the time. We started playing, and we kind of, you know, just what was great about it at that point was because, one, it was stable compared to other games. I mean, it was actually it was the first game I played that was a stable game. Two, the ability to travel. You know, we play Classic now, and we're like, oh man, this takes forever to get somewhere. But if you played any of the old games, I mean, this was super quick to get places compared to something like EverQuest.
A flight path? What's that?
Right, that and the Hearthstone was like the icing on the cake for all of that. So I mean, people take the Hearthstone for granted now, but that was unheard of. Whenever I first started playing. But that's what got me into the game. I've taken my breaks throughout the years with World of Warcraft, but you know, as everyone does, they always come back. So I'm here. I was here last expansion, and I'm here this expansion. So that's kind of how I got into it. But yeah, I mean, it's been a great game. It's over the course of the years.
It's not very often that there's a game that I'll play for as long as I've played World of Warcraft.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
don't get me wrong, I go back and revisit other games that I've beaten over the years, and I'll replay them just for, nostalgia. But this is something that I've been actively playing, like the better chunk of my adult life. It's pretty weird.
And then, Wyland, I think we met in Burning Crusade, right?
Right. We met, actually, if I remember right, it was in Thunder Bluff is where we met.
That seems appropriate. Was it a dark alley?
I'm surprised it wasn't defending the crossroads, because that's all I did back in those days.
I think that's what a lot of people did. That was a fun thing to do.
Yeah, it was.
Right. It was that. There was a, and I can't remember the name of it, but there was another place.
Probably Westfall.
It was it was Westfall, but then there was another one that was, it was on the Alliance side of the world, but I can't, and it had a horde.
Stranglethorn.
Yeah, that's a good one.
STV.
But there was a lot. That was the good thing, was there was a lot of places where it was kind of contested areas.
Yeah.
And it kind of, instead of the normal grind that everybody does now, I mean, you had a lot of stuff to do that had absolutely no purpose other than, just to waste time. So, I mean, that was kind of a cool thing that was going on at that
Well, and
time.
we call it wasting time only because we have modern WoW to think of, right? Back then it wasn't wasting time because everyone was on the same mostly level playing field of not knowing how to interact with the game. All of us started at around the same time. We're all exploring the same things. Some people go off and, all they do is explore. Other people want to try to grind out gear and stuff. So, I mean, you brought up a really good point that I had actually forgotten. Back when WoW started, it was really stable. There wasn't a lot of shenanigans. And as we have gone on, it is no longer the WoW that we know. It's, frenetic pacing of content releases, and sometimes they work, and most of the time they don't.
Yeah, sometimes they really don't.
I would agree.
Well, I think when we started raiding together, Wyland, you were on a Pally tank, I believe, because we had Jimmy on his warrior. And then I was one of the healers, and I think Samuel was the other healer. I think he was a Pally healer at the time. When did you first make the switch to healer?
So that is another story of classic vanilla WoW. So at that time, we were running dungeons, like I'd said. I mean, we had a group where I was a shaman, we had a hunter, a warlock, and a priest. So we had the ability to tank things with pets. I could tank as a shaman. We had the ability to heal. So we did all. I mean, this was a great time we had going through dungeons.
Yeah.
So then we got to the end game, and we were like, well, okay, what's next? So I got into a bigger guild, and they were like, yeah, we need a healer for our raid content. I was like, okay. So I didn't really know what that meant at the time. I knew I had healing spells, I could do it. But so I started doing all this work. I mean, I was in, doing farming, all this type of stuff, trying to get some gear to do it. And then when they were like, okay, well, now we need to discuss what you're going to do. So at that point, nobody really had any idea. Like now we can say, okay, yeah, you should be doing this, this, and that because we have all these numbers and everything. But then it was like, basically what we need you to do is drop your Manatide totem every time it comes available or when it's called for.
You have one job.
You are the totem.
So at that point, I was like, okay, what does that have to do with healing? and it was the most boring thing that I've ever had to do. I mean, it was just, and now, I mean, we look at it, and it was a shaman basically at that point should have been using chain heal at a lower rank to kind of top off other group members and dropping totems for people in their group to boost their abilities. But they didn't really know what, they just knew they needed more mana. I was a shaman and I could provide that.
Oh man,
Talk about raided back in those days.
Talk about underutilizing the skills available. Like, there's one thing I will definitely say is I admire your ability to play multiple healing classes. I struggle with anything that's not a druid or a shaman.
It's kind of a drawl of mine. Is the way it is right now is you have healers that they operate different ways as far as some respond to damage, others need to prep for the damage before it happens. So you've got the build up type healers where they've got to ramp up for the actual damage that's coming in. So it's kind of interesting the different ways they have moved the healers in this expansion and in the last few expansions, how they've kind of positioned what they're supposed to do in a raid or in Mythic Plus.
When you were healing on the monk recently, were you doing the punching healing? Is that what you were doing? The fist weaving?
Yes, I was doing so it was fist. It's basically fist weaving, but it's also casting. It's kind of what I envision the monk killer should be, where it's melee combat with a weaving in of spells. So that's basically what the Mythic Plus kind of build is. I just wanted to do that for raid,
and it just wasn't working. And I get that. That can be frustrating.
I mean, it worked well enough, but it wasn't working. I could see what I could do if I were to be a caster. How much more healing output I could do. So it was kind of like, I like this in Mythic Plus, but in raid, it's not doing it for me.
I get liking that feeling of a battle caster. That's what every time I tried enhancement, that's what I was kind of looking for, because you're in melee, you're hitting things with your hammers or axes, and then you're casting lightning bolts. I like that feel, but yeah, that does suck that it wasn't really viable in raid as well.
And I will say that I think that even with any type of healer, the spec, while it does matter, and the hero trees, it matters if you want the absolute maximum throughput of your healing, but you can play more so, what you like up to a certain point. So, like, if it's a normal raid, play whatever hero tree, whatever spec you want to play. If it's even heroic, you can do that to a certain point. But once you get into harder content, you're definitely going to have to kind of, switch your talents to something that's, is kind of got the data backing, showing what kind of healing output you can throw out there.
Well, and it's the same for DPS too, man. Like, even on the easy class, like when I'm on my hunter, there's a big drop off for damage in a raiding environment if I go with the Dark Ranger build versus the Pack Leader build. And I wish that there was less of a penalty for playing something just because you like the flavor of it better. I really do.
For sure. Have you tried all the healing classes this go around, Wyland? Is there any you've avoided?
I have tried everything except for a holy paladin, and the reason I will not play paladin anymore is because my brother which is Mito in the guild, has ruined that class for me.
Well, you went ahead and outed him out as your brother, so when we do finally have him as a guest, everyone's gonna know.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Oh, Mito has come up more than once on this podcast already.
He gets mentioned. He gets honorable mention at least once a podcast, I think. I find it funny that he is finally back on Paladin.
So I've played. I've got a good grasp on healers in general for this expansion. I feel like that they did a great job with healing in general. If you played in Season 1 of War Within versus Season 1 now, back at that point, you felt like there was nothing you could really do to save someone's life. Like if somebody messes up, they just died. I mean, that was it. And now you feel like you have the ability to change the situation. So you can have a bad situation, you can recover it from it. So I feel like that is good gameplay as far as healing goes. You don't feel like, oh well, hopefully my DPS doesn't stand in something and just explode. Right. If they stand in something now, sure they'll take a lot of damage, but it's very easy to recover from it. I wouldn't say easy, but you have the opportunity to recover from it.
Well, you have more of a chance, right? Because it's not like, I think the big difference in a lot of people, me included, who haven't played a healer in forever, I had no desire to want to heal a Mythic Keystone ever once they were introduced, just because I know tanking and healing are the two pressure points for that group dynamic. I can go in there on a DPS and, if I mess up, no big deal, right? But if the healer messes up or the tank messes up, it's a real big deal. But I love the fact that they took like a lot of excess baggage off of your guys' plate. Like you can literally just, care about healing people again, which is what you should have been doing the whole time.
Right.
I agree with you, Wyland, and War Within. It really did feel like our heals did almost nothing. Like I remember spamming out chain heals and just watching little tiny block movements on the bars.
Right, and then at that point I was playing a druid healer, and it didn't matter how many hill over times I put on somebody. I mean, they would get one hit one time, and it would bring them down to 10%, and my heal over times would give them like 1% life back. So I mean, it was rough in that first season.
Is what the difference is between the two expansions? Is it more of like a math thing? Have they trimmed damage and health pools to the point to where it's just easier, or is it because of the mechanics of the dungeons that have made it easier now?
So I think with the add-on purge they did, so I think there was some good things that came from that, not necessarily so that Blizzard could make their own versions of the add-ons.
We've already proven they can't be trusted.
Right. So I mean, that part of it, I mean, they're trying to make it where you have more time to react. I mean, before the goal was, oh well, they have so many of these add-ons, we're going to have to put mechanics in there to instant kill them. So it was like cheap mechanics. So I don't like cheap mechanics in these type of dungeons or raids, where especially like things that knock you off ledges and things like, I feel like
Reach.
Right. I feel like with that type of, when they put that into it, it's just like, oh, we can't figure out any way to make this difficult for you, so we're just going to throw you off the ledge. I don't like that type of, and that's what they were doing in the season one. We can't make this any more difficult for you.
Depending on the size of a pole that you were doing, there was like 2 or 3 of those that were going to go off if you weren't careful.
Right. And so it's a good direction they're going with regards to, yes, you're taking constant damage throughout the raid, which feels good because you're not just standing around as a healer just waiting for somebody to take damage. So you're taking damage, you've got things to dispel, so that feels good. And then you have your big damage that's coming in. Even with raids, it's the same way. You have your big damage that's coming in that you got time to prepare for it, or you can react to it without just people instant dying. So I feel like that makes it feel a lot better. And at this point, if somebody was interested in trying healing, this is probably the best time to experience it and try it out and learn it.
So if I wasn't having such a blast on my death night, that was probably going to be my other option to see if I wanted to, dip my toes in the healing pool, so to speak, again. Because I did play one. I was a druid healer for a long, long time. And the thing that attracted me to druids was, at the time, they were the only healer that could heal people while moving.
That was a big draw for me in Burning Crusade. And it's the reason why I started playing a druid more, is because, I was playing a shaman at that point, I was always having to stop and cast, and I was like, man, they got it so easy. They're just running around doing flips because it was always a night elf.
Yeah, doing the little jumps,
doing flips and throwing spells on everybody. And I'm like, man, I can't even get into Ghost Wolf without a cast time.
What's wrong, bro? Why aren't you flipping? Oh, that's too good.
Man. So
That's too funny.
I was a healer for a long time because I really like support roles. That's what I would rather do in the raid. But where I felt like it got to with War Within, especially, is it just felt like a healer's job was to nonstop spam healing spells as fast as you can. That was the only thing you could do.
And not run out of mana.
Right. No, nothing else. Well, I was playing a shaman, so I never ran out of mana.
Oh, yeah, you didn't have that issue.
Until I switched to the ancestral healing, and then I ran into it all the time. So do you feel like that's lessened then, Wyland? Do you feel like you have time to breathe and do other things than just spam healing spells all the time?
You definitely do. I mean, in a raid environment, the goal, a lot of people actually, the goal in general is to clear the boss, obviously. But on top of that, you have that healing per second meter over there. So that's kind of on everyone's mind that plays a healer. Oh, I got to get my healing per second up super high. So that's where a lot of people feel like we got to spam as much healing as possible to get that up. But in reality, the best way to get that up, and this is not even based off the person's skill level. It's let's hope the other healer drops or everybody's standing in all the fire so that we can throw more so we can throw more healing at them. It's like, please.
So what I just heard is I have permission to stand in things on my hunter.
Hey, if it's a boss we've already cleared a few times, I'd be all right if we drop one healer and you just stand in all the fire.
Okay. You heard it here, everybody.
It's that focus on meters that I actually dislike from a support perspective. It's fun to play the game in DPS, like who can beat BAM on the meters. But when you're a support role, I feel like the meter should not be the attention. The attention should be, how can I use all of my skills to best benefit the group, which is part of the reason I loved playing Shaman for so long, because you do have so much utility as a Shaman to go around and boost people's speed, break them out of effects, and all that kind of stuff. I always really loved that. And that's why I've switched to DPS, because if I've got to play the meter game either way, I'd rather just do it as DPS and not have to do it as a
less
healer.
Stress.
Yeah.
And I think the beauty of Mythic Plus is the meters do not really matter with any class. The only meter that matters is the timer.
Right.
So that's
true.
That's kind of it is a little stressful doing a Mythic Plus, but with that being said, I don't care about how much healing I'm throwing out. I mean, as long as the group is alive and we've cleared it on time, we got that key done. So, I mean, it is a little different with raid, and I feel like, if we're doing a progression style thing where we haven't beat the boss yet, we're trying to clear it, that part of it, the healer shouldn't really worry about the meter at all. I mean, because nothing's going to matter unless we kill the boss in the first place.
That's true.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say, it also kind of like back when I was healing, and correct me, you are currently a healer, so you would know better than I. But a lot of the healing that would show up on the meters back in the day was over healing. So you could actually get called out for wasting your heals when they're not necessary. Right,
and I mean overhealing. Then it was more of a mana.
Right.
Depending
mana
on
efficiency.
how long you were talking about, but now
back in Kata, I think is the last time I ever healed. Kata, maybe BFA.
Now you have some healers that they have the ability, if you have overhealing, it gets redistributed to other players. I think Priest is able to do that. So.
With discipline,
really?
with the atonement, that would make sense.
I did not know that.
So yeah, Overhealing, I've not had an issue with having any mana. I mean, yeah, mana issues is kind of a thing this time around. But playing a monk where my mana didn't matter at all if I was playing a Fistweaver style, which I mean, the mana. If you're playing the more caster focused monk build, I mean, your mana can drop. I can drop the whole mana bar in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But you gotta focus on your mana T at that point. Shaman, I don't have an issue with mana at this point. So, I feel like that's not as big of an issue. I just feel like that a lot of people get discouraged because they look at Warcraft logs at the top 10 players, and they need to understand that those top 10 players of anything, it's DPS, it can be DPS or healers or tanks or whatever, they have set that up that as a group of people in a specific way to get to the top of that meter. I mean, that's the whole point, is to get to the top of the meter. So that's all. That's not real life. So
and if you look, it's usually the same 10 people every time.
Right, it's not real, and people shouldn't try to focus on. You'd be better off going to maybe the 500th person down and trying to see what they're doing, because that top meter is all just there for.
I think that's a really valid point and a good one. Far too often people look at lists and rankings and stuff, and I fell victim to it too. Like, especially on Rocket, like I'm always middle of the pack when it comes to DPS in our raid environment. And then I go into Mythic Plus and I'm like number 2 or number 1, depending on how hard Trog is focusing or if Bam's in the group, right? But like in the raiding environment, I always kind of got down on myself because I'm always like 5th or 6th or sometimes 8th or 9th, depending on like what's going on. And we all just need to realize that, the top ranked players are that for a reason. All they do is play this game. That's all they do.
Right.
They're not me. They don't show up for raid night. They don't, occasionally do Mythic Plus. So I feel that's a real valid point is, we shouldn't look at the top 10. We should look at people more close to, for lack of a better word, our skill level.
And to go even further than that, if you're struggling, you can look at a Warcraft log to see where you're actually at, like your number.
Yeah.
Well, go up the list, maybe 50 or 60 people, and see, what somebody that's 5 or 10 points higher than what you produced, see what they did, because it gives you a timeline of what's going on. Especially like in healing, you can see where certain damage ramps were happening on a boss. You could see what spells were used at that point to kind of answer that damage ramp that was happening to the whole raid, and then kind of time out your cooldowns and your spells and everything to match what they're doing. And I mean, that's not trying to copy the top player. That's just copying somebody that's just a little bit better than what you're doing right now.
Right. And a lot of it is like, when I feel like when people don't perform well, they get discouraged and they want to move on to something that's easier. And Trog's going to call me out any second now. It's happened to me very recently. I wanted something that would be good. I'm not good at it. I beat my head against the wall for a few weeks, and I'm like, okay, I'm moving on. I'm going to do what I know how to do.
I don't think Trog has ever picked on you for that before. That does
never.
Not sound like something Trog
Never. He never called me a waffler, not once.
No, not once. See? I'm glad you recognize.
But again, like, I get it. And that's why, like, when people want to change their classes and they get frustrated, like, I understand, because I started off the season wanting to play Demo Lock, thinking it would be just super fun. And I was going off of information of, again, like we said, top tier players who know what they're doing. That's not me. I'm not going to be able.
We know.
I'm not going to be able to produce numbers. Yeah, thanks. I'm not a peon. Okay. He's been playing Warlock, I think, the entirety of his WoW career.
It's okay, Rocket. We know you're not peon.
And it's okay. I'm It's okay to be me.
So, Wyland, have you played Evoker much at all?
Yes, I did. I played it. I actually played it before the raids were released. I played Evoker. I did a lot of the Mythic Zeros with it.
Their 25-yard range, did you find that to be a struggle point for that class?
It's definitely a struggle point in the Mythics when I was doing the Mythic Zeros, especially if you had a full melee group, probably not, but just running with a mix group, and this could also you could also tack this in with Shaman, running a mixed group where ranged characters are trying to be as far away as they possibly can.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, I mean, trying, with an evoker throwing that ball out, or with a shaman dropping your totem there, that's people need to stand in. It's you have to get very creative on how to hit everybody with that, especially with the evoker and throwing the temporal anomaly out. I think it's what it's called, and that's the that golden ball you see floating out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a spell that you want everyone to get into, and you feel like that you're throwing that out there, and people think it's like some kind of boss ability. If they touch it, they're going to die, so they run away from it.
I will tell you, I have actually dodged that, thinking it was something that was going to hurt me.
Yeah, the glowing ball is good, so that's something you should probably try to stand in if you possibly can.
I always remember as a shaman, I played the Totemic last expansion, and it felt like every time I put down my totem and there's the big healing circle,
time to move.
The tank just shifts everything out.
Right, and then that big circle that you put down as a shaman to everybody needs to stand into, everyone just runs from it. It's like, oh man, it's the boss ability. We better get out of this.
Like, I feel part of that is just weird that they gave that kind of a limitation to evokers to begin with. Like, what I try to do on my hunter is, even though I'm ranged, if I know there's going to be a lot of damage coming in, or if we're pulling a huge mob pack, I'll stand off like the melee will to the side of the tank, just to kind of make it easier on our healer to just group heal. And one of the best things they ever did for hunters was taking that stupid range limitation off of them. Like, you could only
that was
shoot.
So funky.
You could only shoot things if you were X yards away from them, and it's like now there's no minimum distance, and I love it.
Yeah,
right.
Really
And so evoker in a raid setting, they probably still are one of the theory crafting wise one of the best raid healers. And that's mainly because it's not really because of their range, it's because their spells have it reduces, so it has like a, best way to describe this, if you take damage, it removes a percentage of that damage you just took. So it scales extremely well if you're doing hard content, especially that, whenever you're first starting a raid, everybody's going to be getting hit a lot harder because the gear's not that high. So it's a great spell. It's a great type of spells that they have. It's just whenever you get into that aspect of everybody needs to spread out and dodge mechanics, especially on some of these boss fights that we have now within Mythic Plus, it definitely gets tedious to try to get all of your healing spells on everybody.
I can only imagine, because when Dragonflight dropped, I was going to try to do the flavor of the month and be an evoker. I wanted to be a healing one. And doing that healing triangle, like that, the cone that you got to line up on everybody. And like you guys were saying, convincing everyone to just stand still for 3 seconds, please, is like almost impossible.
Right. Yeah. So they did a lot of pruning since then. We won't get into all that. I mean, there's a lot of evokers that were upset with the pruning that happened, but that breath you're talking about, they did make it a larger cone, so that was a good quality of life.
Oh, that's nice.
They are doing some changes now to them, and they might have already gone live with that temporal anomaly ball that goes out. I think it now applies to 5 people automatically whenever you cast it, and I still think the
that's
ball
good.
also travels out as well. So it's kind of a they're actually actively working on
Because they
evokers.
recognize.
Right, they're working on it for Mythic Plus mainly. I mean, they obviously
Right.
don't need any help in Raid, but they are trying to give some quality of life to them in Mythic Plus.
Well, and the other thing, maybe from a healing perspective, I could get your insight on this. How is it trying to keep up with the tank and the group as they're constantly moving through the key?
As a priest, it gets a little rough, especially with for example, Show on the
Yeah.
getting on the horse and running
Yeah.
off. It's a little easier on the shaman and monk. They're pretty mobile,
Right.
but yeah, it's so that I mean that's the biggest. I guess the most stressful thing that you will experience as a healer in Mythic Plus is that first pull or someone calling out, "We're going to bloodlust on the first pull." That's usually like
Right.
the famous last words of
That's
most tanks that that you run with.
That's that is the dinner bell for the mobs.
Right. So that is a little. I mean, because then as soon as the timer hits 0, it opens up. The tank just runs out like bat out of hell as fast as they can go to the mobs, and you're just trying to catch up, and their life's already at 25%. You're not even there yet.
I
So I'm-
remember. I
yeah.
remember healing Show in the bar dungeon that was in
Oh God,
War
yeah.
Within.
Yeah.
When he would do like pull half of that room all at
meadery.
once. And I'm like, holy crap, as soon as all of his cooldowns stopped, his life just dropped.
You can really tell when Show's things are on cooldown.
Oh yeah, you can.
And that's kind of the thing with all tanks. That's the one thing I did notice, as a tank player in the past. I feel like tanks this time around, they're not instant dying, but they seem all a lot more squishy than they were.
Yeah. But I also think that that's kind of an okay thing. Like, if you think about it, in War Within, like, the tanks were basically unkillable. Like, I can't tell you how many times Show would be the last thing standing, and he would actually finish off the boss for us.
Oh
Right.
man, yeah, he took down plenty of bosses at like when they were at 30% life. It was
It's
nuts.
ridiculous, the amount, and he's not the only one to do it, but he's the one from our guild that I saw do it. There were plenty of times a pug tank was just surviving things that I'm like, how are you alive, bro? Like, what did I do wrong? Obviously, I'm not a tank. That's what I did wrong.
Yeah, I was gonna say you didn't roll tank. That's your problem.
Well, I don't want the pressure. And we kind of talked about that a little bit with Show. Is like, I feel like there's that fear that new players coming into the role will have. So how would you address that for healers, Wyland?
It's definitely so. I would say now, as I said earlier, now is a good time to make the transition to healing if you wanted to. There's been points in World of Warcraft where it's been boring. There's been points where it feels like it's impossible. Now is kind of a good mix, and it's not a it's not going to be a great experience first starting out as a healer, but I would say that it'd be best to start in things like if you're leveling up, start running dungeons as a healer. If you're max level, do the time walking, do the normal dungeons, even do a ton of mythic zeros.
Yeah.
That will get you kind of accustomed to how people are positioning. It'll let you see the damage that's coming in, what spells you need to have available or need to cast to answer certain damage spikes. A big part of all that is learning your keybinds. I would say you got to have a good system as far as how you want to do your keybinds and how you want to target
Yeah.
your group members. You can get that down, then you just do that type, because that type of practice isn't going to brick anybody's key. It's not going to mess up anybody. I mean, sure, somebody might get upset for a minute or two, but they can always queue back up.
One fun
That's the best
thing
place
that,
to practice.
Sorry. One fun thing that you brought up earlier, you were talking to somebody else about doing the delve nemesis. You know, I think that would actually be a good way to practice too, with very minimal, diminishing returns if you mess up. Just set Valera to DPS and see how long you can keep her alive.
Right. That until they fix that, the best way to get that achievement is to do what you just said. I mean, it's a walk in the park if you're playing as a healer and setting her to DPS.
Yeah. But
So,
I think. Go ahead.
Now that we're living in an more add-on free world, Wyland, what do you use when it comes to add-ons as a
Right.
healer? Because that's always a critical point for healers.
It used to be quite maddening back in the day.
Right, and things like last I looked, things like Healbot, and there's been a few other ones. They kind of got the purge, and the whoever was maintaining them didn't bother to keep going after that. I'm currently using Dander's frames, and there's lots of videos you can find on YouTube how to set that up, especially for healers. It's worked really well for me, but I also use a MMO mouse. So that's the mouse with 12 different buttons on the side.
Whew.
And
Oh man, I swear by that.
Right.
Dude, my
This game is
fingers are
hard to
too
play
fat
without
for
it.
that. I'm sorry. No, I will hit the wrong thing at the wrong time.
I tell
But
you,
that's
Rocket, sometime you gotta work with me and get that going.
Yeah, and as I just said, my fingers are too fat for that.
So as long as you have you can use keyboard or you can use the MMO mouse. But once you have your keybinds down, I use mouse over for the bars. I have the
That's
five.
what I was gonna ask. Is do you still do like mouse over healing? So you hover over somebody, hit a bunch of keybinds, and they're good.
Right, that's how I do it. I've used mouse over spells. I've never used any of the heal bots or anything like that. All of mine have always been mouse over to, even if I didn't have Dander's frames, I would just set up the Blizzard bars so that a group is in front of me and the raid frames are, center screen, not right in the center, but bottom center of the screen. And that's how I heal. And I've done it so much that it sounds like it would be awkward, but once you do it enough, it's kind of second nature. I can see what's going on with the raid, what the boss is doing, while I'm healing everybody that way.
So do you still like set focus a target? Like back in the day, I used to have, obviously the tank was my focus target, but then I would just kind of hover over everybody else from time to time and heal them up.
Well, that's the beauty of the mouse over is I've had the same macros set up for these buttons, but I can either hover over a person directly or I can hover over their bar.
Yeah.
And with the same button, I can cast the spells. As far as the focus goes, I mean, normally if the tanks are set to, main tanks, they're in their own little place. But I will only set a focus if it's some specific reason that I need to set that
Like
focus.
maybe a dispel or just like, something
Right.
that comes up periodically.
Right.
Yeah, something where you have to keep your eye on a particular effect.
Or a person. I mean, it's not something I'll set up every single raid. I use that just kind of a case by case basis.
Oh man, we have another shaman for with Tremor Totem this week, huh?
Oh, it's gonna be a good time.
Right, and that's kind of my gripe with shaman in general is they need more totems. Like I miss having all the different totems I could put out
Thank
all
you.
around me.
Yeah, I agree. And then so many that you have to like choose. You have to like route points to a specific place to get them in your tree. That's like the shaman's thing. They should just have all those totems.
Like, I'm surprised at this point if they're turning all these things that should be baseline into choice nodes. pretty soon there's going to be an update where like my hunter pet abilities are going to be choice nodes. And
I
that
think
just feels bad.
They
really
missed a
does.
big opportunity with the, they made the augmentation spec that was a buffing class.
It was a baller. It was awesome at first.
They missed the opportunity to do that with the shaman because, in the beginning, shaman was that buffing class.
Yeah, it was.
100% agree.
Paladins too, from what I hear back in the classic game.
With
the
all
only
the aura
paladin job
mastery.
was to just buff people.
Yeah, paladins. We don't talk about paladins in this guild.
We don't talk about paladins. No.
Or alliance paladins, that is.
Unfortunately, we have to talk about paladins a lot because of your brother.
Yeah.
Right. That was my favorite class at one point.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, man. You're more than welcome to play it out of spite.
No. Nah, he's already went back to paladin now. It'll just make me sick playing that class.
He was on that mage for a lot longer than I kind of bet on.
Credit where credit is due. He lasted longer than I thought. I gave him 3 days.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, do you have any fun like we shouldn't have won but we did, or any fun healing stories from like your healing adventures?
So, I feel like that's a sorry. A lot of the times when we're in, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but a good example was last week. I think we just cleared the balls. He said something along the lines of, "It wasn't clean, but we got it done." I feel like whenever you're saying that to yourself in a raid or in Mythic Plus, you should probably thank your healer on that.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's it was not clean, but it got done, and thank you, heals.
But yeah, that's kind of, any of those moments that come up where like, well, I don't know how we got that done. That's kind of a good moment for a healer in general, just to say, all right, you're welcome. But a lot of people don't really, as long as they get through it, the healers are there, everything's peachy. But some of those fights, they get a little intense.
So the one that
that
I'm thinking of specifically currently is the Paladin fight, where we're taking on the Council of Blind, light-blinded Paladins. How is that from a healing perspective? Because I'll tell you, from a DPS perspective, I am ADD all over the place just trying to survive.
I'll be honest with you, I really like that fight. The only reason why is because I parsed like a 97 percentile.
Because everyone is standing in the things.
Everyone is dying, and it's great. It's like that's horrible to say as a healer. Like,
no, you're 100% right. It lets you do your job.
I want you all to die, but not really. Just almost
die.
So that I can heal you.
Could you work on that, please? Almost dying.
Yeah, we need to clear it so this counts. But if you want to take your life to about 10 or 5%, I'm okay with that.
Well, luckily, I am famous for my butt pulls, so I help you out all the time.
I was gonna say you can count on Trog for sure.
Yeah, you sure can.
But that fight it's definitely intense. I mean, because we're going from the previous bosses, and you can see this with the tank damage that they're taking.
Yeah.
The tank damage is nothing on those it's there, but it's not anything compared to this. So it's like this is the kind of wake up call when you get to the 3 paladins.
Which is
as a
funny
boss
too,
fight.
because it's the second to last encounter of the entire raid.
Right.
Yeah,
So I mean,
that's when it gets hard.
and then when you get to the last one of that raid, I mean that one, it's kind of a cluster too.
That is where we're currently stuck progging, but I feel good about our progress last time.
I feel like we'll get it this week. I think we just need a little bit more time on it.
I feel like phase 1 goes really well, and then we all just kind of lose our brains after that.
Phase 1 goes well, except when it doesn't, and then we all jump off the side.
Well, phase 1 goes well until we miss an arrow. But, so, correct me, were you healing during the War Within raiding that we were doing, Wyland?
I did the first season some. I was tanking mostly. I tanked most of War Within, but I was
going to say, because I seem to remember you tanking a little bit. I kind of stepped in to tank and help show out when we were doing, Mana Forge. But I feel like you were there in the interim. So I was just wondering, like, how the Paladin fight might compare to, like, the Demon Hunter fight in War Within in terms of healing. It would probably be similar, would be my guess. Because there's just a lot of stuff going on. But I feel like the Paladin fight has way more damage going out.
Yeah, the Paladin fight. I like the Paladin one better than the Demon Hunter. Not because of difficulty. It's just something about the Demon Hunter one was more chaotic than the Paladin. But at the point that I don't feel like the Demon Hunters was as hard as the Paladins.
Agree. It was
I
just
would agree
chaos.
to both of those points, yeah. It was chaos for chaos's sake, and this one, it's harder, but it feels like there's very clear things to do.
Right.
And things not to do, like take a freaking shield to the back while you're trying to transition.
Or forget about that entirely and stand in the big circle and go, oh, crap!
So, if anyone's wondering, that's what happened to Rocket the last time we raided, is I turned to run and I got tagged in the back with one of the stupid shields the Paladin threw.
Well, I can commiserate with you because right after somebody, I think it was Skate, said, oh no, I hard focused and that's why I died. The next attempt, I did the exact same thing.
Punishing focus. That's the Blizzard way.
So, out of all the stuff you've done in all your years of WoW, Wyland, what would you say is your like all-time favorite raid to heal?
Oh, wow. The raids in Burning Crusade I felt like that was a great time to heal just because, I was going from shaman, we need your Manatide totem to actually classes. That
actually learning how to heal.
Right. They changed classes in a way where, you weren't stuck to a specific. It still was a little more static as far as what you had to play, but it was going in that direction of, okay, you can actually have a class that you can play the other parts of your class that are, the different trees of your class or, a different spec of your class. And it was going in that direction. So that was a lot of fun during that time. But, the raids it's probably everybody's going to say the same thing that they were part of it. But Ice Crown.
Yeah.
That was the most epic stuff
Yeah.
I feel like they've ever came out with. So that was a lot of fun. It felt like you were fighting an unstoppable force at that point. And that whole build-up, that is something they should try to mirror like every single expansion. They obviously didn't do that every expansion, but that was a lot of fun. And then Mist of Pandaria was also one of my favorite times to heal.
It's so nice to hear fellow players who have similar top tier rating experiences. Show said basically the same three, and Trog and I basically say the same thing all the time.
Wrath was definitely the high point. And
Karazhan for Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich
Kara
King
was so
raids,
good.
and then like Pandaria raids were really fun and unique.
It was very vibrant, and that whole expansion, it just felt like a breath of fresh air compared to Cataclysm.
Yeah, Crapaclysm.
Yeah, Cataclysm was kind of a bummer. I will totally agree with that.
But other than that, I do like the War Within The Queen fight, I thought that was a very fun fight. You know, I like that fight just because it felt like it was impossible.
Dude,
Whenever you
for
first
a
started
long
it.
time it did, yeah.
And then once you started getting through it, I mean, I feel like that type of raid encounter is, the kind of stuff that players want to see is something where you can see your progression throughout it. I feel like they hit a home run with that boss fight. This time around, I like the raids that are going on. I like, because I like the ability to, be able to see the damage that's coming through, being able to react to it and all that. But I don't like that they split the raids all up because I can't keep track of all of the different places.
It's a little wonky. I'll agree with that. I like the idea that they're going for, but they're not. Now we have like 3 different AOTCs to chase now.
Right. You tell me, y'all would say, oh, we're doing this boss, and I'll go to some different zone and zone into a different boss.
And it's only going to get worse. In the 0.7 patch, we're getting another solo boss. So it's like...
All right. So I got to write this stuff down to make sure I know where to go.
We're back to spreadsheets.
Man, that's the problem I've been trying to fix for you guys.
Right? Trog's going to have to update the guild website yet again.
Well, that's okay. Luckily, I love working on that thing.
But, well, I got to say, man, like, I've only been with the guild a short time. I know it's been over a year or so, but it still feels very short. But I actually am grateful for the chance to get to know you a little better other than just listening, to, quite frankly, the the bickering back and forth that happens during raid night. It's nice to actually,
Is that bickering specifically with Mito?
Well, I'm not just saying Wyland. I'm just saying it's nice to. This podcast has been a real surprise blessing in a lot of ways, with getting me out of my comfort zone and getting to know my fellow guildmates. And as someone who hasn't had a guild for a long time, that means a lot. So just know that if you're ever in a dungeon with Rocket and you feel like I'm stressing you out on purpose, I never am.
No, the stress increases my healing numbers. So as long as you don't jump off a cliff, I can't heal you if you're falling down a hole or something.
So again, internet, you have just heard that I have been given permission to be as dumb as I want to be.
And a reminder to not pull a Trog, especially on the big monster boss in Twinspire.
You haven't done it the last few times, and I'm very proud of you. Other people have followed your suit, though.
Oh, man. It's just that first time when I did it, I was like, what the hell? I just kept running.
All right, everybody, run to the left. Trog, you went too far left.
Stop. Oh, you're dead.
Run, Forrest, run. Stop. Oh, man.
Oh.
But no, I really do mean it. I thank you for taking the time to kind of give us your input. And I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but is there anything specific that you would like to see them work on that would make healing a little bit better than it is currently? Like, I know the pruning and everything has happened, but is there anything specific that you can call out that maybe Blizzard would need to look at?
There would be a few different things. One would be to make sure if you have all of this testing going on, beta testing, and people are reporting that classes aren't working, especially the healer classes, take that feedback and fix it before you release the main product. That would be
Preach,
my main
brother,
thing.
preach.
Yes, 100% agree.
There's an entire hour-long podcast about that very subject.
Yeah, we
other
ranted
than
about
that,
a lot.
since they've done the pruning, I think that now, not right this second, but now's a good time to add abilities to all of the healers, and not just fluff abilities, but add something, even if it's one spell per healer, but add something that brings something to each class. Because you've got the bare minimum spells right now, so now's a good time to build on that. But don't just give 10 different spells. I would build it as in maybe one or two or a passive or something, but start adding spells back to the healer kits.
So that made me think of something. Shamans are the only healers currently who still have an interrupt.
Correct.
So if they're going to say that healers shouldn't be interrupting, why do shamans still have an interrupt? Give healers their interrupt back, man. Why not let them interrupt every once in a while if they're able? Don't make it a focus of what you're doing, but have it be available.
They should get an AoE interrupt with a totem. That's what I think. If they add anything to Shaman, they need to like focus on doing some more totem stuff.
I would agree.
That would be
Because
great.
the last time I really was hardcore into a shaman was really fun because you would throw out all 4 totems at once, and you could choose which 4.
And that
was a while ago.
Yeah, man.
That was whenever you were buffing strength and agility and giving...
Right.
Right. It was that. I mean, you had a fire totem that was shooting fireballs.
And then if you had more than one shaman in your raid comp, which why wouldn't you? Because shamans are awesome. You could get double buffs going. Like they could choose different sets of totems and buff different people. But
those were the good old days.
Anyway. I was just gonna say that, the good old days.
Right. But well, man, I feel like we have really dove into this topic, Trog. I like it.
Yeah, and shout out to Salty supporter Winmar, because we know he's going to enjoy a episode all about healing.
All about healing. Yeah, Winmar has been actively listening and will give us his honest critique after every episode. So
yeah, he said Rocket kind of sucks, but I forgive him.
You know, he's not wrong. I'm trying. Man. I'm trying to get better.
Well, thank you again for coming on the show today. Man. Wyland, we really enjoyed having you, and I've enjoyed playing with you over the years. I mean, we've known each other since Burning Crusade time, so it's nice getting to spend some time and just chit-chat with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I haven't known you that long, but I have enjoyed playing with you, and it's nice to get to know you a little better.
I've enjoyed playing with you too.
Yeah, man. Cool beans. Well, Trog, have we salted that dead horse?
I feel like we have.
All right. Well, everybody, stay tuned for our next episode where we will get insights from another fellow guildie about the melee position in game currently. We'll be talking to our resident kitty druid, Skate, who also happens to be our audio tech for our podcast. So we'll make sure to give him lots of praise.
Yes, we have to encourage him to keep doing audio stuff for us.
But until next time, I just want to say thanks again, Wyland, for joining. I'm Rocket. That's Trog.
Bye, everybody.
Stay salty.